Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Package Team Weekly Retrospective for July the 29th, 2021. Kicking off with what went not so well is Ugo, but Ugo isn't here, so I will read for him. Ugo says had been difficulty focusing at times because of non-work related issues, but things are getting better. Over you, David.
Thanks. Yeah, I've been pushing the pipelines for packages and VC scope for a few days, and well, it's not super great, but I will get there. Next is Heli.
The PCL is very frustrating at this point. A lot of changes I made need to be observed in production for a little bit before we can close out their respective issues. On to Steve.
In a review, I had an idea to optimize a background migration that would allow it to take just 1 day instead of 24 days. But it turned out that safety and consistency outweighed the efficiency gains. So we ended up not being able to use my idea. But on the flip side, I learned to think about background migrations from a new perspective. Over to Nico.
So I decided to put in pause my maintainer responsibility for a bit while I focus on the stage work. And also I broke the QA test with a button really one string to another and poof. Over to Sophia.
It's okay, Nico. Actually, we need to refactor that. It shouldn't be dependent on texts. Yeah, I was cleaning up at the beginning of the week a massive fail where we had an incident with pre-prod pipelines. So basically, this was blocking deployment, and it was because at the end of the day, I just decided to rename a job, and I didn't change it back correctly, and so it broke everything. You just wake up the next day and you're like, what? Yeah. On to Dan.
Thanks, Sophia. Yeah, still haven't been sleeping very well. Trying to get to the bottom of that, like going to bed earlier and whatnot, but sleep is very important. And then on top of all the normal stuff that I've had going on for a little while now, I've had a lot of different high priority things needing attention more than usual this week. And it's been, yeah, good times. Over to what went well with Ugo, who I will read for again. Ugo mentions had at least a couple of days when I forced myself to ignore what's going on and felt very productive, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel with the onboarding tasks, trying to do a better job prioritizing and focusing on less stuff, looking forward to experimenting and finding out what works better for me. I've added an initial README project under my user where I'm trying to keep better track of my work. It was cool finding a production issue affecting the handbook in GitLab.com, reporting it and waking up the next day to find it had already been fixed. Started looking at my first package issue. I hope next week I can focus on having the GitLab project running locally and writing some code. Over to you, David.
Yeah, the Nugget bug fix is finally in review. Yeah, this one was not a trivial one. It was more involved than expected, but I'm confident that I'm heading towards the right direction. And we had some interesting discussions and meetings around workhorse. Over to you, Heli.
The amount of events this week from the historically most frequent error on Sentry has ground rocketed. So that's good. On to Steve.
The last Debian MVC MR is in review. So that's pretty exciting. And I had some really interesting database reviews come through this week. On to Nico.
So we quickly iterated over refactoring the experience of deleting container repository, and it was a very good and fast experience. Over to Joao.
This week we looked at some data and we found that BuildKit cache images are the only invalid images being pushed to the GitLab container registry. So at least there are no more use cases for invalid images, which is good. And we have also made good progress in reducing the number of long-standing unknown errors being raised by the registry and reported to Sentry, which contributes to the error budget. So it's good to take those down onto Sphere.
Yeah, the dependency proxy tests are ready. Basically, also while having a 101 with Steve, we just realized that we could integrate SAML existing tests with dependency proxy, so we would have some regression there. Seems like an easy thing to add. So that was great. And also the fact not being added to Sentinel-1 just dramatically improved the performance. I hope it helped everyone else. Yeah, just there is really a change.
Cool. Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks very much, everyone, for joining us this week. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day and a lovely weekend. See you.